Hello. A couple discussions ago, we talked about probability, what probability means for process improvement. Really liked what your classmate Claudia said. She said the concept of probability is a fundamental element of process improvement because it involves identifying, analyzing, improving upon existing processes within an organization, not only for optimization, but to improve the standards of quality. Professionals involved in process improvement take a retrospective approach by analyzing data and understanding why things or events occur and what likelihood of it occurring again is. And what this changes to process would be to minimize or maximize the probability of reoccurrence. So in that discussion, I had you roll dice. I took that information, and with that information, we're going to revisit what a histogram shows and what a Pareto shows. Now I'm going to use the data analysis tool from Excel, and this is how I loaded it to. First, we're going to start with a histogram. Histogram is a bar graph, and it displays data proportionally. They're used to identify problems or changes in a system or process. They keep the data in order and the scale against which they were obtained. So we're going to go ahead and do one. And I'm following the instructions that I put the student help discussion for this module. I posted one of those right here. Here's my results and here's my range. You'll need both of those information for a histogram and for Pareto. I'm going to just highlight that, and I'm going to go to data and do the data analysis. First one I'm going to select is the histogram. My input range is correct. It's column A, row 1 through 35. The bin range is set up. It's column C, 1 through 7. I'm going to output it on this range, and I'm going to just do a chart output because I only want a histogram. And that's what makes the data analysis toolpack really easy. There's less modifications than using the regular bar graph. So this is what I have for my histogram: a range, input range, the bin range. I select labels because these are, in row 1, are not numerical information. I'm going to output it to this sheet, and I'm just doing a chart output. So a few more things to make the histogram correct is we need to reduce the gap. And I got to the format shape by just clicking on that information, and the format data popped over here. So I'm going to put the gap to 0, and now all that information is together. I don't want to see what more information that the data analysis produced, so I'm going to take that out. And this is our histogram. The probability of rolling a 4 was really high, and the highest of that. So you see our curve that would be here to show the distribution. And there's no strong skew to one side or the other. Let's go on and move on to Pareto. Before I do the Pareto, I want to talk about the 80-20 rule. It's a Pareto principle that most things in life are not distributed evenly. It can mean a lot of things, like 20% of the input creates 80% of the result. 20% of the workers produce 80% of the result. 20% of the customers create 80% of your revenue. 20% of the bugs cause 80% of the crashes, and so on. It's the 80-20 rule. And we're going to use the same data analysis to create a Pareto chart. A Pareto chart is a kind of bar graph that uses data to determine priorities and problem solving. We're going to go to data. Now you notice there's no Pareto in here, but when we click on histogram, there is a Pareto option. So you just have to remember that. You have to go through histogram to create the Pareto. We've got our data selected for the input, our data selected for the bin. We're going to output it to this worksheet. This time we're doing the Pareto, and we're going to do the cumulative percent. So after all that's selected, we have our bin range, the frequency, and the cumulative percent. This makes it really easy to create the Pareto chart, the data analysis pack tool, because the frequency and the cumulative would have to be calculated on its own. The cumulative, you notice, is increased, and that's what's shown in the arc right here. I'm going to take out the gap again, changing the gap width. If we were to think about the 80-20 rule, 80% of the roles were 4, 2, 5, and 6. So if these were our issues that we needed to resolve when we were looking at a process improvement to pick to solve some major problems, we would either pick the issue 4, issue 2, 5, or 6. For the histogram, the issue 4 would be the most identified and the one we would probably want to target, or 2. So the most important things for the histogram and Pareto, know what each one of them identifies, know how they look, know what information you can gather from them. Thank you.